do, and welcome to another edition. This one was the ZXR750 that I bought back in 2015. The bike had been left in a ditch, somebody nicked it, stolen, recovered, but luckily it hadn't been recorded. Guy sold it to me fairly cheap. Luckily the engine ran fine, which I was really pleased about. It was leaking oil from the head gasket. Apparently it is a common fault on ZXR750s, but it's something that can be fairly easily remedied. Now, a ZXR750 was one of the Japanese bikes I've always wanted. I think it's one of the best looking 1990s motorbikes. Other than the 1992 Fireblade, the Mark 1, which I still think is one of the nicest looking bikes ever built. So we had lots of rust and a cracked top yoke, which I replaced and polished up, and then I set to stripping it all down, cleaning the bike up, basically just adding my little mark to it. Now, it was in Red Bull Racing colours when I got it. I didn't really want it in those colours, so basically trying to think what I could do. I wanted green because obviously it's a Kawasaki, but more on that later. First job was to sort out this head gasket. Quite a bad oil leak by the look of it, and I'd also heard that a ZX7 shock fitted, so bought one of those second hand and then set to cleaning everything up, giving it a dash of paint. One thing that I did do wrong was to try and paint over the previous paint, which obviously reacted and made a mess. So with the engine cleaned up, new head gasket fitted, started rebuilding the bike. Job number 2 on the wheels was gold and polished rims, as per SV650. Didn't like that look, so then we thought we'd try black, which again didn't like it, so we went back to silver, which is the way it stayed. Case fitting the ZX7 rear shock, I had to cut the battery mount because it was actually rubbing on the reservoir on the top of the shock absorber. Fairly simple job, just tacked it, made sure everything was okay, then painted her up. Rear subframe was the next thing on the list. Cleaned it all up, got rid of all the paint and rust and everything, primed, and then top coated and fitted it onto the bike. I then cleaned and fitted the foot pegs, front and rear. They came up quite nice, I must admit. It was in the days when I had a wild wheel. And then the rebuild could begin. The rear mudguard had been hacked away so that it could get rid of the number plate light. I wanted it back to standard, so basically found a completely unmolested one, cleaned it up and refitted it. On with the rebuild. As I said, with paint, Kawasaki, gotta be green, hasn't it? It's gotta be. So started to sand down, prime the bodywork, and then went with a Triumph green, which was the same as the Peugeot Speed Fight I'd painted before. Now, unfortunately, the fairing that I had for the bike was broken from when it was stolen, but I just kept checking on eBay every day, waiting and hoping that something would turn up, and it did. 50 of your fine English pounds, thank you. So it was out with the rattle can, and got the idea in my head how I was going to spray it. It came up and it looked absolutely fantastic. Ordered some decals from a company in Holland, I think it was. They came through, so fitted them and then lacquered over the paintwork. The iconic Hoover tubes were quite hard to find, but I did find some on eBay eventually. So that was basically it. All that was left to do was just to give it a quick run up and down the axis, see how it went, and take it for an MOT. I had fitted new fork seals and new tyres as well, so we didn't have any issues there. Which she duly passed with flying colours. Now, I went out on it with my helmet. I rode it about 5 miles and it was the most uncomfortable bike I've ever ridden. She may look nice, but she was definitely not built for comfort. And I ended up selling it, making a loss as usual, which is what I do. But at least I'd had the chance to own one of the 90s iconic machines, which I was quite pleased about. So once again, I'll just say thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you on the next SV installment.